Hello, welcome back. Checkered Shorts, episode number 55. And this is our pre-race episode. It seems like forever since we've said that. But here we are, 26th season, about to get underway. And we kick things off at St. Pete. It's been that way historically for some time, for as long as my fandom has lasted. So it's not the longest, but St. Pete seems to be a great location for kicking off the season. As they said, a lot of good events surrounding the race itself. Get down south, hopefully seek some sunshine and some good weather for the race. So St. Pete race as we enter the week. One of the things we always like to do is preview the track. This is a street course. Pretty well managed street course, especially considering a big chunk of it is on an airport as well. So, as far as the track set up, Pat, why don't you give us a little breakdown?
I thank you, Keith. Do we want to do history lesson first?
Oh, we're gonna hold on to the history till after you, since I forgot it.
Hey, you're the producer. I'm just making sure. 1.8 miler, 14 turns. That 14th turn is then you come screaming down the front stretch, and then you have a big right-hand turn that's going to cause chaos as it has in the past. Super important to qualify well, just to make sure if you're 20th, you almost just want to set back for a second. Not what race car drivers probably do, because you're a race car driver, but just it seems like a lot of chaos even last year. That's how Will Power got knocked out at the very beginning of the race. Just an accordion effect can happen pretty quick because you're taking a big right hand, a left hand, and then you're kind of just there's a little jaunt there going into 3 and 4. Then you're kind of off to the races. But obviously right there on the water, see some of these beautiful yachts. Would be pretty cool to own a yacht to watch right there. Like you mentioned, part of an airport. I think it's partially closed to one of the runways. So, I've been doing it for years, man. It's a great opening race for IndyCar. The fans, not only is it, but it's an event. It always has been an event, and they get big crowds there. Maybe not even all race fans, but it's just what do you call it? The mall inside of the track sort of thing. So it's well known for that. So here we go. About 7 days and an hour to go before we start racing. Pretty excited.
Yeah, that big long front stretch always makes me, I get excited about that, because when you get 25 cars that are gonna, funnel down into one turn, a right-hander and a left-hander. I think if I remember back to last year, it seemed like IndyCar threw the green flag a little early.
You're right.
I'd rather them hold that until you get several cars that are on that front stretch before you drop it, and that way, we get a little more excitement. I understand safety. I understand, what they're doing from their side, but the entertainment value, we want to see that sprint down to the first turn to see how many positions can get gained.
Yep. Hopefully the weather's nice and we can see a good first race for sure.
Yeah, and one thing that we discussed, particularly to be watching this week as you go into to the race and we go into drivers to watch. If you guys are wondering, I'm teasing the history lesson, so you're going to get it at the end. You're going to have to eat your vegetables before you get your dessert at the end of the episode. But these qualifications are going to really matter, as they do each week. And a lot of the times we talk about what happens on race day on the track, and we don't spend as much time talking about qualifications. But that's where some teams really earn their pay, is in those couple of days of qualifications and practice, making the adjustments they need, and then qualifying well to put them out front, especially on street courses like this.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Qualifications are very, very important for the drivers. From a viewer standpoint, though, I would like to see, the Pillows, the Dixons, the Patos, the Kirkwoods, the Powers, start mid-pack, because you want to see more of that action and let some of the other guys, up front. But I doubt that's going to happen. Hopefully we'll, be good qualifying. we can see a little bit of a shakeup there. Pat, one thing you mentioned is 1.8 miles. I think you said that's one of the shortest street and road courses on the circuit. So we got 100 laps around that. That allows for some strategy. It's not like everybody's coming in to pit on the same lap. You're going to see a little bit of difference with it being a short circuit like that. But no, I think you're right about the qualifying piece, Keith. That's going to be super important on Saturday to see where everybody starts.
A good storyline is going to be watching Will Power in a Honda.
Yeah.
An Andretti Honda. They're known for there. They haven't won there the past 3 seasons. It's been Hello, Newgarden / Pato, and then Ericsson. So, but obviously everybody knows Will and his capabilities, and then putting him in an Andretti Honda will be a great storyline too. So, yeah, I think last year for me it was a little bit disappointing of a race, and I mean I was glad to have IndyCar back, but yeah, you want to see a Will Power coming from 6th place to run through the field a little bit more than you do Pelot just taking parade laps the whole time, like it kind of was last year. And nobody's fault, but that's just kind of how it played out.
Well, that's how the second half of the race. But if I remember the first half of the race, like it was a Newgarden, McLaughlin, Dixon, Herta, I think was at one point was running away with it. Really, that all didn't happen until I know Herta had issues in the pits. Dixon had his issue with the radio. So I think you've got an opportunity for several guys to step up here. And we know Kirkwood is really good on street courses, even though he wasn't in the mix last year here. So we'll see. And as the year went on last year in those street races, we had guys like Kiffin Simpson, VK, Ferrucci, who scored some really solid finishes on street courses. So maybe they found something, and they're young guys and gotten more experience. Maybe they jump up this year.
And an Armstrong, man. Armstrong is the next Scott Dixon, maybe. Sorry to cut you off, Keith, but look for him too.
I was just going to say our transitions are getting pretty clean because we didn't even introduce our drivers to watch. We were just right there. So natural transition. I mean, Will Power is obviously someone that everyone is going to be watching. It is interesting to see the storyline of him in this point of his career. It's also interesting to see him in a Honda. He's got a good history at St. Pete, even though maybe his car wasn't the best setup, and I think that he's going to get a good street course setup here. So that should be a lot of fun. One of the guys that I didn't hear mentioned, who I think had one heck of a season last year and is known for the race, the street and road course circuits, Lundgaard. I think that with the McLaren team, he's probably he's clearly the number 2 driver, but their number 2 is right up there with Pato in importance of the season last year. He was outperforming him, and particularly early on, I think it's because it's so street and road heavy. So I can see Lundgaard making some noise in there. And then a track like this, we didn't get it last year, but it lends itself to some laps under caution. Laps under caution can change strategy quite a bit. So, you can't get around that track and get something cleaned up, but with the distance of what it is. And so you're going to see guys, different pit strategies, and hopefully, not to put anyone in danger, but we'll probably see a few more restarts and things in this race than we saw last year.
Yeah, I think two guys to throw out here. One you already mentioned, that's Will Power. If I remember right, he is set on pole here 8 times. I think he has 2 victories maybe, but 8-time pole winner here at St. Pete, and that's in a Chevy. And we know what Andretti's done with Hondas. Hondas have been stronger on street courses, so like you said, that's a guy to look out for. And then Scott Dixon, and we mentioned him briefly. Had the issue with the radio last year. He probably wins the race. Never won at St. Pete. It's one of the few places on the circuit that Scott's never won. So I don't know if that makes us not pick him because he's not won here, or maybe he's due to finally get his maiden victory here at St. Pete.
I'm looking at just kind of the timeline of qualifications practice. Saturday, 4:30 to 6 is qualifications, which I love. Like,
Yeah.
be awesome to sit near the water, drinking some beers, 4:30 to 6 on a Saturday evening. So well played by them by doing that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
There's another person that I enjoy following. I think he's a solid racer, and that's Felix Rosenquist. I feel like he's got the ability to be right there, especially on some of these road street courses, and the opportunity could potentially be there at the end of a race if something kind of screwy happens. He's always in the mix there, somewhere between 4 to 8. He'll be running probably in the last quarter or third of that race, and who knows what happens from there. He's solid.
Yeah. This is one of those races that, I don't know. The saying is you can't win the championship week one, but can you lose it? And do some of these title contenders, do they not push it at St. Pete because they don't want to throw themselves in, behind the 8 ball after week one? So it's something to watch out there and see. And some of the young guys may say, hey, this is my chance to really jump up and make a name for myself, put myself at the top of the standings or near the top of the standings early on in the season. So,
well, look at Will Power last year. I mean,
yeah,
could still be with Penske. You know what I mean? Not even if he won the race, but if he didn't wreck the race, and he had a couple other outs during the season, but not even to finish a lap, first race of the season. Could be a totally different story, but I like the way this one's playing out much more, honestly. And then Felix, for me, Felix can always qualify well. Has had a couple poles even in the last few years. Has to finish them, man. I think he's won once, maybe twice. So, he's right there. He's got to win as he can qualify because he's definitely a driver capable.
For sure.
I think one of the most interesting things that could happen if for one reason or another in the first half of that race, Palou would be in the garage. How would the other teams react it's got to be an opportunity to get ahead. And so you'd be chomping at the bit, but you also wouldn't want to end up in the garage with him because you got the only opportunity you might have all season long to put him behind. Like we've talked about this, you got to make him the chaser. Yeah. He can't be the rabbit because it's been proven that when he's the rabbit, you're not going to catch him. So something has to happen in this series for some other guys to get out ahead of him.
Yeah, talk about some real racing. If Palou goes out, these guys would all be driving the wheels off of those things. So I don't want to see Palou go out necessarily, but yeah, I'd love to see all these dudes scoot up in the seat a little bit, if you will.
Yeah, I'd say the strategy would become much more aggressive.
Yes, correct. It'd be great.
It does bring us kind of a little bit to some grid rival pointers. We're still time to join our league. You can really join all the way up to race day. And within an hour of the race, I believe. So there's opportunity. Please join us. We'll continue to post out the link. We want as many people in the league as possible, make a lot of fun. But one GridRivals pointer that I learned last year, and this is on me for not reading up enough on it, but wait until after the quals. Because especially here at the front end, when you're adding new racers, if you've signed someone to a couple of weeks, obviously that slot is filled, but you want to look at the qualifications because how they qualify is going to be a major it's going to help determine the outcome of the race. So you can wait till Saturday night after the qualifications to fill your lineup.
You can also set it now, though. I've already set mine, but that doesn't mean it's set in stone.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
You can change it without penalty. You can change it without penalty, right?
That's correct. Up until
that is a very different aspect of it. You can do it till maybe I don't know how soon till race time, but no, that's a cool feature of this one.
Yeah. So, who you guys looking at with GridRivals? For those of you that are new to this, like each driver has a salary. You pick that that driver. You get an allotment of $100 million to start, and then you make your choice of 6 drivers based on, build your team with those salaries in mind. But as Pat and Keith, as you look at this list, where do you see value this week at St. Pete?
I mean, I got to think Pelot is going to be up there. He's going to take a large portion of your budget, but at the same time, on this street course, I think you can fill in the gaps with some guys further down the list when it comes to expense that can still score you points. So I think you got to start there and then see, how much change you have left in your purse to go out there and pick something up off the bargain bin. I usually try to, when I draft, a lot of times I'll start at the top and then I'll look at the bottom, rather than filling up my roster and then seeing at the end, like, oh, I got one spot left and I've only got this amount of money. That only leaves me these 3 guys. I kind of look at them as tiers. So I'll be like the top third, I pick one out of the top third, then I pick one out of the bottom third. Then I go back and kind of work myself to the middle. So it didn't pay off. I didn't win. So I don't know if you should follow my advice or not.
But you have a Malukas on a new team. You have Marcus Armstrong, who's getting stronger. We just talked about Felix, who could easily put it on the pole here. I'm looking at it now. Pelot's $30 million, and a Lundgaard's $20 million. And either of those guys, and then Rosenquist is $16 million. So honestly, either 3 of those guys could win this race. So that's the fun part about it. I think you got to kind of look at that mid-pack, especially now, just new season, new cars, new personnel, take advantage of those $20 to $15 million guys and see what might happen these first couple of races.
Yeah, I think, when you think about getting points for moving up through the field, you make a good point there with the middle of the pack guys. I really took the focus of looking at the bottom. Like Keith, you mentioned that. Actually, in my roster that I have set right now, I have 2 of what we previously named bottom feeders. I saw 2 guys down there that look like really good values, guys that I think won't be in that range come mid-season. And so I want to take advantage of them having that small salary now. But I may just take them for a week. I might not extend them any farther past that. But so make sure you take a look at those guys and think about how they don't have to win the race. They don't have to finish on the podium, but they, can they grab 6 or 8 spots throughout the race?
Yeah, VK or Grosjean. I mean, VK could win the damn race. Grosjean probably not, but if he can gain 8 spots, that's a pretty good victory for points for sure.
Exactly.
So that brings us to our history lesson.
I forgot about it.
We're going to turn it upside down. So we do have a little anecdotal thing for the end, but what do we got for episode number 55?
Yeah, this is another one of those sad ones, and we've mentioned this before, but 1955, that was the year Bill Vukovich had won in 53 and 54, was dominating the race, was almost a lap ahead, and Roger Ward, who ended up being a 2-time winner later on in 58 and 62, I believe, wrecked on the backstretch, and Vukovich was coming around, tried to avoid, and as he tried to avoid, flipped and went up over the wall into what is now the bridge that crosses the speedway, and lost his life. What a bad and sad story in the history of the 500. But that was 1955. Vukovich was on his way. Nobody's ever won it 3 times. Bill was probably going to do it that year, and who knows what the future would have held for that. Guy by the name of Bob Schweigert, who we mentioned last episode, went on to win the race that year. His only Indy 500 win, but what a sad day for Indy 500 history.
Yep.
Yes, I knew I saved that one for the end for a reason. We don't want to start off with that. So,
True.
Yeah, it's a sad story to see someone's life end prematurely, the impact on everyone around. It was also sad for IndyCar because it was definitely a legend in the making, with potential to do some some things that would have been forever etched into stone
Yeah.
there at IMS. So yeah, I'm sure most people see that as one of the saddest days there at IMS for sure.
Yep.
The one thing we did want to hit on, we haven't hit on it for multiple episodes because we've had some good material, but the Pelot commercial, the final commercial, did air, and we've had opinions about each one. I have an opinion about this one. I'd probably rank it down there with the Pato commercial. I think the thing that was most disappointing about the Pato commercial is he had charisma to sell and Pelot didn't. So they did what they could do with Pelot, which is just talk about the fact that he's a speed machine.
Yeah. It didn't strike the coolness like the power did, the willpower one did for me. He is the best driver potentially in the world. So I see the aspect, but you could make that case for any of those drivers, how everything slows down to that speed. But obviously you got to give it to him before you can give it to anybody else as the top tier driver. So it was good. It's gimmicky, but he is hard to sell. And that's just what he doesn't have going for him. And but I think Fox spun it as best as they could. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I felt that was my first impression. I wasn't as impressed. The more times I see it, the more I like it, though.
Probably, yeah. I agree.
I thinking about that checkout girl, and she kind of makes me chuckle. And then the whole milk connection, I thought was interesting. Yep. Him coming off the 500 victory last year. I think for those you're trying to influence into the sport, you want them to know that Alex did win the 500 last year. So I thought that was a good connection. How everything in the store is moving at so slow, except for Alex, and he, as calm as he is, you could tell he was still frustrated with what was going on. So, seems like a willpower or Alex Rossi, when they're racing at St. Louis and there's back markers and they can't get around them, right? Like, they're ready to swipe the card and boot them out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have done any better, so it was pretty good, I guess.
So, how would you rank them? Can we finish there? How would you rank the 4 commercials? Who's number 1? Who's number 4?
I mean, my vote would be for the willpower because it had more humor in it to me. The replicating of him was just funny, and all the different characters they picked, the dad, the driver, the different everything in between. Was definitely at the top of my list, but the New Garden would have to be second.
Right there with you. The Wills billboard number. If you didn't pick that up, there's a number on the commercial, starts 213 something. Check that out. It is an actual number. Keith led us to that. It's pretty damn hilarious.
Yeah, I wish there had been some Easter eggs planted other places, right? In the other
yeah, there might be.
There are that we missed, but
yeah.
I haven't heard anything. So I disagree with you guys. I'm going to go back to the New Garden one. I know it was the first one. But ripping Pato's heart out and the reference to that was pretty solid. And
I agree.
So I'm going to go back to that one, number 1. 2 with Will. I'm going to put Pelot at 3 and Pato again. I think that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, he had a bigger part. He had a bigger part to play in the New Garden one than he did in his own. So, when you got the guy that sells 2 promos, not just one, you probably should have put him in the better promo.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think they want to lean into it. I think they need to lean into his heritage a little bit more. I think maybe this is a Western Hemisphere sport, maybe not international. I think with F1, some changes they're having, we might see some more eyes from F1 open wheel racing at IndyCar. But, there's a Hispanic population right here in the United States. It's a North American sport. Clearly, Mexico is a part of that. I guess that would be Latin America. But, our neighbors to the south, the idea of potentially getting a race in Mexico City at some point, I think that they should lean into it because
100%. And he leads that culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
there's a lot of like this Pelot. Say he's from Spain, or does everybody know it? No, not really, but he bleeds that culture, and it's just an easy culture to want to bring in. So sorry to cut you off again.
No, I
Yeah,
agree
no,
with
that's
you.
fine.
I think they are missing it. I think he's the number one guy right now. Like it's all eyes that are watching IndyCar are watching Pato. So they need to promote him more.
Yep.
All right. Well, the next time we come to you, we'll be talking about a race post-race St. Pete. So that's pretty thrilling too. And we're already talking about potentially getting together for this race one or week one race action. So we'll be coming to you with the not a live reaction, but a very close post reaction from the race. And we look forward to seeing you then.
See y'all.
Yeah.